Pagi actually is you may call him a pug mark expert, or who works like a detective, who would track robbers or would look for people, often seek his help in finding their lost animal, but most importantly he basically is a pug mark expert and would help people. So it's a non-paid job, and the story is set during the independence era, around 50s, and this art, actually this Pagi is not a profession, more of it's an art which is now almost extinct because you don't find Pagis these days. And this, our Pagi, he's on a mission this time, and he actually became Pagi to look for his lost love. But on this mission he's going to face some dilemmas of his life, and how he handles with that, and how he looks, and what the mission is. This is the film all about, actually. Thank you.
Insistent sort of policy of yours to continue to embarrass me has to stop now, you know. Enough now. Okay, it's my privilege actually to introduce the mentors one by one, and I really can't repeat it enough how happy and gratified and grateful we are that they have made the time to come here. Let me just start one by one. None of them actually needs an introduction for any of you, but nonetheless, as a formality, it is important that I fulfill this protocol. Let me starting with, let's go in the alphabetical order. So the first person I'd like to introduce is Akshat Verma. Akshat burst upon the scene, I mean exploded upon the scene, literally, with his delightful scatological humor in Delhi Belly, if you remember. And there's a history behind it, that for 15 years this script actually incubated. He wrote it with the title Say Cheese, right? Yeah, Say Cheese, when he was in film school in America, and never really thought that somebody in India would want to make it. I mean, you saw it. It was a sort of, you know, exercise in complete irreverence. I mean, everything that he could make fun of, I mean, he did. And okay, perhaps had given up any concrete hopes for that. But as is bound to happen, and as the mentors will also tell you, as he himself will reaffirm, that today in India, if you have a good script, and I say this in all seriousness, in a completely responsible, professional way, if you have a good script, all it will take is a little bit of time, maybe a year, 2 maximum, it will see the light of day. So the important thing is to sort of encourage yourself, Shazia, you're listening to what I'm saying, is to ensure that you make sure that you do your good work, you make sure that you write a script which you believe is production worthy. And if it truly is, there are enough platforms, there are enough opportunities available, there are enough non-formal avenues available also through which it will reach the light of day. And we're trying to sort of encourage people, therefore, so don't be anxious about where it will reach, just to make sure that you write a good script. Akshat is a prime example of that, and he now has a glorious career ahead of him. He's also turned director, and we are very keenly awaiting 2 projects which he is currently working on, and we are hoping that that will go into gear very soon and we will see the light of day. He is also personally a delightful person, a lively mentor. Okay, very sharp.
I should be sleeping. I usually write at night. So the only way I can get up and reach something at 8 in the morning is to not sleep. So here I am. I'm really delighted and happy and nervous to be here to work with everyone. Thank you for having me. And I'm going to go back. Thank you.
It's a huge privilege to be here. It's humbling. I'm aware that Indian cinema predates American cinema by hundreds of years, or at least the storytelling tradition does. And it's going to be challenging for me and exciting for me to be a part of this workshop. Thanks for having me. So,
what am I doing here? I'd like to explain it this way. When I'm thinking of a subject and an idea is forming in my mind, I like to imagine the following. I like to imagine that I'm on a cheap flight to LA, one of those cheap flights where you stop off inevitably in somewhere like St. Louis at 3 o'clock in the morning in order to change planes. And I'm there in the airport, all alone, and I'm waiting to get to LA to pitch an idea to a Hollywood studio. And I'm very nervous, and there's nobody else in the airport except one man. And he's one of those guys, one of those huge fat guys that sits in a sports bar at about 3 o'clock in the morning watching the reruns of the football games. And I tentatively go up to him and I sit down beside him and I cough and I say, "Excuse me, would you like to hear a story?" And he looks at me as though I'd just done something disgusting beside him. And I know that if I can get this man's attention, I'm on a winner. So I begin to tell him my story, and I begin to tell him the story so that he will not again look at the screen until I've finished. Today, I am that fat guy. For the first time in my life, I can be him, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
I'm going through a learning process myself, and it will be, I think, great pleasure to share this